Hello, you beautiful people. It is molto bene to see you here, and welcome to this video of If Space is so big, why won't it fight me? Today we will be looking at Moonfall, the latest release in Roland Emmerich's line of disaster movies, which includes the film where they run away from cold.
Close the door!
Because, as we all know, that is how cold works. But Moonfall came out on the 3rd of February 2022, and I wouldn't be very surprised if you had no idea that this film even existed. I think I only saw like 2 adverts for it, and I thought it looked really stupid.
We're dealing with an intelligent entity. We're planning a mission to attack this thing. I'm asking you for your help.
Say yes, Brian.
So I guess the only thing with space here was all the movie theaters. Right? Yeah? I'm sorry. So this film was independently financed by Roland Emmerich himself because no studio would take it, and it cost him around $140 million, meaning it is one of the most expensive and big budget indie films ever made. And now I want you to quickly guess how much you think it made back at the box office. So go on, have a think. It cost $140 million. Surely it made somewhere around that back, right? Nah, it made $55.7 million, meaning that this film made a loss of $85 million.
Quick mess.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the final nail in the coffin for big budget disaster movies like this. To be fair, they're only being replaced by big budget monster movies. And I'm okay with that. I'll take a giant robot using a massive boat as a baseball bat over a giant scary CG asteroid any day of the week.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
And not so fun fact, this guy directed the film 2012, and little baby boy me was terrified that the world ending in 2012 was real, so just looking at the poster for it used to scare me to death. I don't think I ended up watching it until like 2017 or something. But anyway, who is ready to dive into this as I try and make sure that the video isn't as long as my Lost Boys 2 video, because I don't really know how to talk about movies in a fast and efficient manner since I love talking about them so much. Because I sure am. So after a good minute of logos, we open in space in 2011 with some very funny and quirky haha lol astronauts and forced exposition.
Because I karaoke'd it at my wedding.
Ah, well, I must have missed that. I was in the zone, tearing it up on the dance floor. Back to work, rookie. Can never do.
When they are suddenly attacked by some kind of giant monster. And oh no! The rookie died.
Come in. Marcus!
He was only 18,262 days away from retirement. Imagine your first day of the job. Loads of other people have gone to space and to the moon, but on your first day is when the giant unidentifiable alien decides to attack. Do you think that's ever happened to a bank teller? His first ever day on the job is when the bank gets robbed? I mean, when you think about the amount of banks in the world, that's probably happened at least within the last 5 or 10 years. We then see that the black mass is digging its way into the moon. Suddenly we jump forward 18 months.
Viewers might remember the accident that happened during a routine satellite repair mission 18 months ago.
And we are shown through the news that NASA is trying to bury the incident.
But
Yes or no? Can a solar flare cause the kind of disturbance you witnessed in the shuttle's onboard system?
I guess, yes. Technically, it could have.
Are you kidding me?
We then get some family drama, and this kid expresses what I think is what all of America thinks.
I hate New Jersey.
And suddenly we have another time jump of 10 years? Why? What was the point in the 18-month time jump that gave us information that could have clearly and easily been shown after the 10-year time jump? We were literally only there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
And the only thing we learned was that his dad doesn't see him and that NASA is burying the incident, which could have super easily been explained naturally in a single 11-year time jump. I wonder what would happen if I just mashed the keyboard. Aloy point pin for a picture pign pi and perk pin 9 urgic skmbs pagania perv pf by bayerage fna pivn par rim pay un a fire relay or 5 I 35 3 pi pi pier. Well, that amused me a little bit. Anyway, on with the video.
But whatever, we are introduced to Sam from Game of Thrones, which is what I will refer to him as for this entire video, who acts as the typical comic relief expert type character, who isn't as annoying as other characters of his kind.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
We then go to Halle Berry's character, who is, there's so much jumping around in this movie, so I'm just going to stick to the key points. And the jumping around is so pointless because in these two scenes, right next to each other, we find out that the moon's orbit is getting closer, which means they tell us the same information twice within 5 minutes. What's the point? We then find out that Sam is really big on conspiracies.
Bluntly, the moon is a megastructure. Did you get it? Huge! And artificial. Whoever built this incredible thing must think we're a pathetic species.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
And for some reason, in this $140 million movie, we have weird green screens like this. Sam from Game of Thrones is trying to get in contact with NASA to tell them that the moon is out of orbit. Like NASA, the organization that watches the skies and the space and stars and everything as like their entire point for existing, wouldn't already know that the moon is f***ed up. We then learn that Brian, who I realize I haven't introduced yet. This is Brian, say hi to Brian.
Hey everyone.
He was one of the astronauts from the beginning. But we learn that his son has been arrested for speeding.
Looks like some idiot tried to outrun the cops.
Yeah, that idiot is your son.
Oh my god.
And we care because
Family.
all of these films have this exact same formula. They all have a dad character that's like,
I have kids that I love very much and I want to protect them, but this teenager does not like me because he is teenager, but we love each other and hug at the end of day.
which essentially tricks the audience into caring about the characters, because a lot of people in the audience are like,
Wait, I also have kids that I love very much, maybe a teenager who doesn't like me, but we love and hug at the end of the day.
so they project themselves and the love that they have for their families onto those characters in the films, meaning that the writers don't have to try very hard on writing characters that have any form of depth other than
Family.
And they do the same type of thing with Sam by giving him a mother with dementia because
I also have mother who I love very much and would die for because
it's fake depth. That's all I'm saying. We go back to NASA, and the director of NASA says this.
Can someone tell me what the hell I'm looking at?
The director of NASA, so the guy who runs all of the space shit, does not understand the very simple diagram of the moon getting closer to the Earth. The director of NASA does not understand. I'm not even going to say anything. They decide that they need to go to the moon in order to see what's going on. Then we get this really weird editing, like they just cut out half a conversation.
You just lied to the whole country.
Get in line. You work for me.
I work for the American people, and you're keeping them in the dark. Yeah.
I won't say anything. I'll just remind you that this is the budget for the film. Yeah. And that happened.
Yeah.
Here you start to notice another issue with this film. We get a lot of information through the news reports. Rather than, I don't know, showing the characters in the middle of one of the riots, so we can actually see what's happening and feel connected to how the world is falling apart, so we can actually give a shit, because we get this.
Armed religious fanatics have racked up thousands of followers all over the country. In other news, prominent scientists are now exploring the possibility that perhaps the moon could be some sort of orbital megastructure. A term.
And by the way, he spends a good amount of time fixing up this car.
I'm still fixing up the Mustang.
Tom.
And he never drives it. So what's the point? When making a film, you're supposed to have setups and payoffs. You set something up at the first act.
Yeah, well, Big Al also says dogs can't look up.
Think about it. Andy with a blade, rough demeanour, Bernie the trophy wife. He's connected. Why do you think there's a rifle above the bar?
Because the pub's called the Winchester.
Exactly.
It has to pay off in the third act.
I f***ing knew it. What did I tell you? Big Al was right. Okay. But dogs can look up.
I've mentioned it before. If you show a gun in the first act, it has to be used by the third act. Was it Tchaikovsky's gun or some shit? We then learn about megastructures. More specifically, the Dyson sphere. Now, what is a Dyson sphere?
Please don't ask.
Basically, a Dyson sphere is a massive structure built around a sun in order to harness all of the solar power. And you're probably thinking what I was thinking. this is the size of the moon, and this is the size of the sun. They explain their way around it by saying that the moon is built around a white dwarf star. So basically, a star, like our sun, will eventually expand and become a red giant, then it will eventually expel all of the outer material, leaving you with a white dwarf star, which is essentially the core of the star. Now this is very hot, and I imagine that it still has a gravitational pull. So how they fucking managed to build the moon around this star, and how it managed to orbit another planet and the sun without orbits going crazy, I don't know. But that's their explanation. The moon is a Dyson sphere around a white dwarf.
Ever heard of a Dyson sphere?
Yeah.
Every megastructure has a rigid shell built around a power core. Most likely a captured white dwarf that's being harnessed for energy.
And I'm sorry for the lesson, but space is cool. The astronauts that get sent to check out the moon get fucking murdered immediately. And the moon is causing massive floods. And what does our hero do? He goes to sleep.
Open the door!
Yeah.
Ryan Harper,
Yeah.
we need you to come with us. It's a matter of national security.
His son is in prison during a flood, and he just decided, let's have a nap. Instead of doing like a cool bike chase scene where he is actively running away from the flood to get to his son and save him, he goes to sleep and gets rescued by NASA, and they also rescue his son. So he does fucking nothing. And it is at this point that this man, who loves his son so much, finally has a conversation with his son for the first time in the movie. 52 minutes into the movie. You have to watch almost half of the movie for the loving father to even talk to his son. And the son's acting is it's great.
Hold on. You okay? Just so I'm clear, you're gonna take a bomb into space. And why are you even here? You hate NASA.
No, it wasn't always easy.
That makes two of us.
We get typical disaster movie stuff. The heroes are trying to save the world, and the US government just planned to nuke the fucking moon, because that's a great idea. We also find out about an EMP, because the alien is actually nanobot AI. Hey, I had no idea about this. I'm sorry again. So our main gang of heroes decides to go up to space themselves with the EMP and kill the creature themselves. And most of the thrusters are damaged, so they plan on using the moon's orbit to launch them into space.
How do you feel about flying the shuttle with only 2 engines?
It can't be done.
If we launch when the moon is directly above us, the increased gravitational pull should give the shuttle a boost, giving you a really good chance of getting into orbit.
And in like the characters' farewells, we get one of my favorite interactions in this movie, because the interaction with Halle Berry and her son is, dare I say it, Oscar-worthy acting and writing.
But now I need you to be brave.
I don't want you to go.
I love you more than all the stars in the sky.
Even more than the whole Milky Way?
Way more.
Definitely not super painful to watch at all. So they launch. And the side characters are all essentially running away from gravity. There's this like gravity wave coming.
Did you say gravity wave?
And they just drive away from it. And I'm no expert, so I'm pretty sure that the moon's orbit would only affect the area directly underneath the moon. They also see this.
Let's keep going.
And that's their reaction? I would be paralyzed because of both fear and because of how cool that would be to see. And I guess avalanches and shockwaves just don't exist in this universe. The astronaut gang gets to the moon, and we finally figure out how this thing hunts.
The electronics were out. That's why it didn't attack us then, and that's why it didn't go after the bomb just now.
Because it needs to sense both. It's like it's programmed to seek out organic matter in an electronic environment.
Exactly.
That is so needlessly overcomplicated. It attacks electronics, but only when there's something organic with it? That is so fucking stupid. Why would it stop attacking like as soon as the technology disappears? Like, the creatures in A Quiet Place don't stop attacking something when the noise stops. They attack until it's fucking obliterated. And those monsters are simple. They hear a noise and they kill it. Boom. Scary. This is so overcomplicated that it just makes no sense. It's stupid. The moon is now getting so close that the atmosphere is fucking up and we're losing air because it's created like a massive hole in the atmosphere, which I think would happen. So now people need oxygen. Like cans of it. We've always needed oxygen. The B-plot crew gets into an epic car chase with guns and explosions over cans of oxygen. And this includes another one of my favorite lines.
The moon is rising.
Gravity's gonna go crazy.
Because that's how gravity works. This B-plot also gives us this amazing line.
Sonny, the moon is going to help us.
The moon is going to what now?
The moon is going to help us.
If the moon is looking like that, you're already dead.
Some people go, oh, look at the moon. He's all gentle with his nice white face, hanging in the sky. He's nice. And the other half go, oh, he's a vanilla rapist. Get him away from my kids.
Acting like the moon is a sentient rock that's actively helping you. And they use the gravity to jump this gap. But if it's crazy enough to send a train flying through the air, how the fuck are you still on the ground? Space Gang gets to the center of the megastructure and aren't instantly vaporized by the incredible heat of a white dwarf star, where they get chased and they're saved by a green light. We then get exactly what we all want in a third act of our disaster action movie. A huge exposition dump about the origins of the creature and the origins of the moon, delivered to us by a child that is...
I'm a construct from your mind.
It takes a solid 5 minutes. And are you ready to find out what this creature is? Basically, the creature is nanobots and AI, created by an ancient human civilization that was basically a utopia until the AI became
self-aware
and killed all the humans. And my main question about this is, if it's an AI that is basically an Alexa to turn your lights on and off, why did they make them nanobot clouds in a case? Why give them any kind of physical form at all? That seems like such an unnecessary step. What's the point? We get some shots of the moon like scraping the earth, and now surely, at this point, we would all be super fucking dead. If it got that close, they say it's entered the atmosphere.
The moon's entered the atmosphere over the North Atlantic.
General, T-minus 20.
They say it's entered the atmosphere. I mean, that would be it. Absolutely zero chance of survival, right? Our big man Sam sacrifices himself to save the world by setting off the EMP.
Will you listen to me? But no one else would. Do something for me. Check in on my mom. Tell her that there's something for you.
Even though there is no evidence to suggest that EMPs kill you.
But detonated miles up in the atmosphere, experts say, the main impact is electrical. Energy that doesn't kill people but spreads like lightning, striking any electrical grid or circuitry.
Even though we do have electrical signals in our bodies and stuff, but it doesn't do anything. And after all that, they act like the world isn't going to basically be a post-apocalyptic war zone as they desperately try to re-establish order and society. There's a bit where there's guys robbing a petrol station and one of them comes out of all the money and is like, whoa, look at all this money. And the other guy's like, why? Money is worthless now.
Hey! Hey! Look what I found!
Maybe we can use it as toilet paper.
What? Take a look around you, man. It's worthless. Whatever. Let's go!
So society has completely been destroyed. And guess what? This is what actually happened to Sam.
Am I still alive?
We scanned your consciousness. You're part of the moon now.
No freaking way!
The moon downloaded his consciousness and he is now part of the moon. And they set up a fucking sequel.
We saved the Earth.
We should get started.
Get started with what?
Like all these fucking films do, this Independence Day 2, Pacific Rim 2...
Tell them we're not afraid. Tell them next time they won't need to worry about coming for us. Because we're gonna come for them.
make films that are self-contained and good. Then worry about working it into a franchise. Or don't. Just have one good, amazing film. Throughout this video, you probably noticed me saying unnecessary, pointless, overcomplicated, and what's the point a lot. Because that is basically what this film is. A huge what's the point. No one cares about the characters. The main hero just complains most of the time.
Thanks for bringing me here.
Some of the effects look good, some of the effects really don't. In the end, it's just another completely forgettable disaster movie that no one cares about. And thank you very much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I did originally plan on making my Lost Boys 3 video, but I watched the film and it was only 78 minutes long. So there isn't really much to say about it. I might take a look at it again at some point if people want me to. But yeah, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you do, then if the moon did crash to Earth, I will visit you all individually and thank you deeply. And you can hold me to that. Have a great day.